And now that I don't have a principal who's going to check in with me on Monday morning about what I put on my YouTube channel, I feel kind of free to say some of the things that I haven't been able to say over the past few years. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are having a difficult conversation inspired by blog reader Jen. She sent me this question and I think it's a really important one and definitely something that's crossed all of our minds. She asks, could we maybe address the elephant in the room, and that being why so many incredibly amazing teachers are leaving or looking to leave the profession? Yeah, Jen, I'll talk about that. As you guys know, I am one of those teachers who's not in the classroom right now, and it's partly COVID-ish, but there's a lot of other factors that I weighed in making that decision too. So I'm going to talk about that today. When COVID hit, I know you guys know, lots of us were talking about early retirement, who's leaving, who's coming back. People were scared, rightly so. The demands of the job just seemed to be getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And so I had remembered reading articles about teacher retirement applications like soaring. So I jumped on after I saw Jen's question and I knew I wanted to make this video. I jumped on and tried to do some research, and apparently the numbers are all over the place. There is no one set number about, teacher retirement applications went up this much in 2020 to 2021. It seems like it's regionally very different. Some places it's very high. Some places it's actually lower, the percentage of retirement applications, than it was pre-COVID. So it's all sort of a big mismatch, and I don't know what's fear, just people talking, and what's real. But I do know that teacher retention has always been a problem, even in the best of times. It's almost a revolving door at some of our schools because the job is just really, really hard, even in the best of times, right? Low pay, not a lot of appreciation for what we do, being a scapegoat in a lot of situations. And so for the best of times, this is hard work. Throw in a global pandemic, a bunch of teachers who are asked to teach remotely without the technology or the training, and it's darn near impossible. And yet teachers are the kinds of people who take on those sorts of challenges, right? Like, we knew from the start that this was going to be a tough career. We knew that it was low paid for the bulk of work we do and the tons of responsibility we have put on our shoulders. And we were good with that, right? Like, as a younger teacher, you find ways to work within the system. You find grading hacks and you find your groove and your teacher personality, because it's worth it in the end for those relationships that we're making with the kids. But over time, with more and more responsibilities put on our shoulders and fewer resources given to meet those challenges, it makes me think of that meme of the Giving Tree, the Giving Tree, Shel Silverstein, is copyrighted, so I can't put it up here. But basically, this tree is giving everything to this little boy. And at some point, you've just got to put healthy boundaries and say, no, you can't have my shade and my apples and my branches and tear down my trunk and then sit on my stump. You have to be like, no. So I'm at that point where I was feeling like I was giving up a lot of my branches and not having the reward of the relationships with the kids anymore in this COVID environment makes me not want to be in the classroom right now. And now that I don't have a principal who's going to check in with me on Monday morning about what I put on my YouTube channel, I feel kind of free to say some of the things that I haven't been able to say over the past few years. So I'm going to talk about what I see as like the big cultural system problems. And then I'm going to talk about some individual things that are just specific to me that led to this decision. Okay, so up first, system problems. I think America is fooling itself. I love my country and I love being an American, don't get me wrong, but there's a huge difference between what we say we value and what we actually value in practice. So we say as Americans that we believe in determination and hard work and self-sacrifice, and yet we actually tilt toward what's fast and easy and most comfortable. And so I see this in lots of things, not just within education, although I see it here too. I see it in the way we take care of our health, right? So we say we value healthy living, but we don't do the hard work of taking care of ourselves, right? The getting out and being physically active. We'll, say we value highly nutritious food, but there's a line for In-N-Out burger that goes around the block, right? So, and I understand about balance. Don't lecture me, I know, but tends to be that we go for what's easy. America, we say we are, this is, we are say we are one nation, indivisible, but we're really divided. We're not one nation. We're a bunch of different nations and a bunch of different competing interests, and we haven't figured it out yet. We say we believe in liberty, justice for all. There's a lot of injustice in our world. So again, the chasm between what we say we are and what we say we value and what we actually are and what we actually value in practice. And I see this in education too. We say we value education, but we don't fund it. We don't respect it, right? Like we have class sizes of 35 kids. You tell me you want me to make great writers and critical thinkers, but oftentimes it feels like I am crowd control, right? So not having the resources to do the job right has been a source of frustration for me for a long time. So class sizes are crazy. There's no money for the supplies that we need to do our job. That's on the teacher's back. Our own salaries we dip into to buy the things that our kids need, which there's no other job that I know of where professionals have to like bring in their own stuff to do the job that the boss needs them to do. So that's a problem. The curriculum is just tired and out of date. There's nothing innovative happening there. It's just the system that was purchased 15 years ago and has been in the back cabinet, and we just use what we've always used because that's what we have. So yeah, that's a frustration. It's frustrating to me that culturally teachers are held up as heroes and then 6 weeks later are torn down as villains, right? Like once COVID hit and remote learning started happening and parents actually saw the scope of what we were doing every day, they were amazed, but then very quickly irritated that it was on their shoulders. It's hard. And I'm really grateful that my kids are older and I didn't have to teach online and teach my own kids in my own house. Like I don't even know how you mamas are doing it right now. Man, I am humbled by everything that's happening out there. The structure of school hasn't evolved to match the realities of the world today, right? Like we're still using that industrial revolution model of, the kids in the rows for the set number of hours. You do 1 hour of math, 1 hour of, English, 1 hour of history, and we just switch. And the brain, does it learn that way best? I don't think so, right? But we're so locked into this structure that to change it would be revolutionary. And so kids are frustrated with the system. Teachers are frustrated with the system, but we have to work within the system we have. And for me, there's a lot of tension in that. Like, I don't like complaining about things unless I have a solution. But the problem is I don't know how to fix this. I don't have a solution to like change the entire American public school education system structures. I don't know. So there's all of that, right? These big structural problems with the way the whole system is set up. And then there's my personal struggles that I'm having for my own reasons. And so let's talk about some of those. First up, I don't care about testing. I don't care about state tests. I don't care about college entrance exams. I don't even care about actual grades in my class. I don't care about grades. I care about learning. I care about connection and passion. And yet, I have to demonstrate learning goals and be data driven when I can just I just want to teach. I just want to take a kid from here to here, have them not love writing, and then actually be proud of a piece of writing that they created. Like, I just want it to be organic like that. And I know it's kind of hippy dippy, I know, but the data, so when I was a younger teacher, I'd say around year 5, the like 5 to 8 years, like years 5 through 8, I was really into data. I was like, I'm gonna figure out this system. I'm gonna tweak what I do in my class and then measure results. And what I found is that different classes responded differently to different strategies and approaches. Go figure. And so teaching is an art. It is not a science. There is no formula. There's no um, guaranteed output. It's not a factory. These aren't widgets. These are human children and they're human teachers teaching them. And so, for all of our flaws and differences and craziness, that's all part of the mix. And so, it's an art figuring out how to help this kid find a book that she really loves for the first time ever, or how to help this kid have the self confidence to get up and speak in front of a group of peers for the first time without feeling like they're going to pass out. Like, there are wonderful moments that happen that aren't measured by a statistic on a data spreadsheet. A problem with all of that is that it's hard for me to hide my disdain. I don't have a poker face. So when I am required to get kids hyped for the state test, I cannot do that in a convincing way anymore. I tried. I tried to be a good soldier. I really did. But the kids know. I don't care about the test. Like, I don't care. It doesn't make me feel like a good or bad teacher depending on how they do, because I know I'm in there doing the work when I'm in there with them. And yet there's pressure to get those numbers up, keep those numbers high so that we look good on a state report, so they can put it in the school report card on the website and the realtors can tell the families moving into the district that we're the best district. Well, you know what? I don't want to play that game. I've also seen some pettiness and some things that are just wrong. I've seen administrators cut teachers off at the knees because they don't respect them for whatever personal reasons they have. Just making decisions just to mess with people. It's just wrong. And I've seen great administrators, but I've seen more lousy administrators. And sometimes the unfairness just slapped me across the face. So when I was yearbook advisor, I had access to the class lists because we would pack every English class's book order in May at the end of the year. And then my yearbook kids would deliver them to all the different classrooms. So we spent like 2 days packing all the orders and then another 2 days doing dollies to wheel them out all over campus, which was a very humane way to pass out yearbooks. Hard on the lower back, but definitely like easy on the student body. But in doing that, what I came to realize was that it was not an equitable distribution of teaching assignments. So I had thought foolishly as a young teacher that they would balance classes. So like every third period freshman English class would have about the same number of students. And yeah, some periods are smaller or bigger than others, just depending on what the master schedule needed. No, not necessarily. Turns out I would have 2 teachers who had the exact same prep, the exact same period. One teacher who was seen as difficult, rigid, not easy to get along with, kids didn't like her for whatever reason, had like 18 kids in a section. The same class would have 35 kids. So explain to me, how is it fair that one teacher has 18 and another has almost double that at 35 kids sandwiched into a room? And I was one of those teachers who had giant class sizes all the time. And I would just always say yes. Like the counseling office would, say, hey, we have another student coming in. I'm like, I don't have enough desks. And they're like, we'll get you another desk. Okay, not realizing until I got to see kind of behind the scenes, it's just super unfair. And so if you're good at your job and you're big-hearted and you're agreeable, you get taken advantage of in a system that doesn't care about you, the individual teacher, as much as it should. And that's that giving tree idea, right? Oh, you just took another branch, so I'm doing double the workload, double the grading, just double. It's just hard. It was unfair, and I saw it, and it was wrong. And in some ways, it is kind of my own fault. I burned myself out in some ways. One, I didn't push back against those things when I saw them. I just kind of accepted them and let it kind of do a slow boil. But then also in my zeal for innovation and connection, I jumped online 8 years ago to kind of share ideas and build community and like find that kind of, digital teachers lounge of uplifting. I mean, the tagline on my blog is on a mission to prevent English teacher burnout, right? Because I was feeling it then and I needed to build that for myself and for everybody else. But in doing that, the irony is that I burned myself out, right? So when I started all the digital stuff in, gosh, 2013, um, it was great. It was a hobby. It was fun. And as I gained more people and voices and I sold more stuff online, it kind of grew to become not just a hobby, but like a business. And then I had customers who needed help with things. And so all of a sudden, I'm working all day teaching and I'm working all afternoon and evening on business stuff. And it became a lot. Everything you've seen with my name on it online is stuff I've done. I don't have virtual assistants and a team or anything. It's me with a camera. And so, or a computer. I mean, this laptop. You, me, and this laptop have gotten a lot of work done over the years. And so, at some point, I the wheels were falling off the cart, as my husband said. He's like, you need to slow down. And so you've seen there's been pockets where I'm really productive, and then I kind of withdraw because it's really hard to run so fast, so hard all the time. It starts to get to you after a while. Don't misunderstand. I love it. And I love helping all my teacher colleagues out there. And I love answering questions and having the connection. It's just a lot. You know, when you're teaching, you're in the classroom with the kids, turn off the phone. I'm not like online in that world. And then the brunch break comes and you flip on your phone and there's like 4 messages, 3 of which are teachers having trouble accessing some materials. There's a broken Prezi link or the PDF won't download or I don't know what to do about this thing. And I want to help those people because I am one of those people. I know what it's like when you have a lesson plan that you have to do in an hour and you go to like launch the slide deck and the stupid thing won't work. So now you're like, oh my gosh, you're in panic mode. And so I want to be able to help everyone as quickly as I can. And that's really hard to do all the time. So now I'll be more available to help. I try to answer everybody within an hour, but what that means is like I'm always of 2 minds, right? I'm dealing with the kid right in front of my face here while I'm also thinking about that email I need to send. And that's unfair to both, and it's stressing me out. Another personal reason is that starting over is hard, I have learned. I've moved a lot. My husband and I have lived 8 different houses in 20 years, which maybe that's not a lot for like military families. I think they move more than that. But for me, that's a lot. And so when we moved to Idaho, that was 4 years ago, we left California, we went to Idaho. I struggled. I didn't really talk about it because I didn't want to alienate my colleagues and my administrators, and I just don't like to complain. But it was really hard. I went from being kind of a, respected village elder at my California school to being the new lady who's she. And that was hard for my ego, but also it was just hard making inroads with people who were very polite but not really that interested in changing how things were. And so I taught ninth grade, 11th, no, ninth grade, I taught 10th grade, I did 11th grade at the traditional high school, which was very much like the school that I had come from. I really didn't find my place. It was fine. I had success teaching at our library where I was doing classes, but it was always a different group of students cycling into those classes. So while it was creative and fun and the library people were phenomenal, one of the favorite groups of people that I've ever worked with. I love that core group. It didn't satisfy the reason I love teaching, which is that relationship building with the students, taking them from the beginning of the year at the end of the year. And so the library job was a fun job for me, but it wasn't like feeding my soul like teaching used to do. And then this fall, I took a gig teaching 6th grade writing because it would allow me to continue face-to-face one-on-one. It meant I didn't have to do the remote learning. And I love 6th graders, adorable, but not my lane. 6th graders are babies. They are babies. I was like, they're just really, really young. And so 9th grade and 11th grade, that's my jam. Like I love 14, 15. I love 16, 17. High school seniors, I love high school seniors in the fall. I do not love them in the spring. High school sophomores, I love a few of you. So, sophomore to me is like the dead zone of the high school years. So I was like, eh. So when I took the 6th grade gig in the fall, I was like, this is going to be something new. And after a few months of that, I was like, this is not for me. That leads me to another reason that I went ahead and decided to leave the classroom, and that was finances. So husband and I were living in Boise, Idaho, which, if you watch the news, is the #1 exploding real estate market in the nation. It is beautiful in Idaho, and we definitely enjoyed our time there. But there really wasn't anything keeping us there. And when we saw what our house was worth after living there for 4 years, we were like, we could live somewhere else. So we went ahead and cashed out of Boise, Idaho, which gives us a little pocket of money to sit on and enjoy, and maybe like use that money to catch our breath. I make money selling stuff online, and that has been very good for my family. And so thank you for helping my family enjoy the life we get to enjoy. And so there's a financial thing to think about also. I don't talk a lot about my personal life. I tend to be kind of a private person online. I love talking about teaching and professional stuff, but the personal feels scary to me. So I'm going to share a little personal here, and we'll see what happens. So even before COVID, my family had some health crises. Some scary stuff happened, and turns out my husband almost died. So 3 years ago, he was at work, works for FedEx. He was in logistics, and he collapsed. And then he collapsed again at home. And we got him in, and it turns out he has a bad heart. So there's a genetic condition called non-compaction, which I call squishy heart, but basically just means like part of the heart that should be smooth, strong muscle is more like a sponge. So his heart doesn't tick great, and so he has a pacemaker, and that's a lot to go through. But the gift from that time is that it really helped us sit down and evaluate what's important to us as a couple. He's fine now. Everything's good. He's my little robo man. He's got his little, he's like the Tin Man with his ticking heart. And so he's good, and I'm good, and we're good. So don't worry, everything's fine. And it really brought into focus for both of us what's important. And what's important is our family and loving each other and putting good things out into the world. So we have slowed down a little bit because of that. He and I are definitely achievers. We're go, go, go kind of people. And so it's definitely forced us to kind of pause. COVID helped the whole world pause. We were just about a year and a half before COVID. We'd already kind of gotten that message, and then COVID just reinforced it. And then also my own parents died young. So my dad died in a car accident at age 48. My mom died of a stroke at 62. I am now in that zone, and I want my life to matter, and I want to do good things, and I love teaching, and it makes me sad that I'm not with the kids right now because I just love them. But I'm also thinking about legacy, like I want my life to matter. So legacy, that's what matters to me. I want my work to live on after I'm gone. And so how can I use what's inside of me to help the most people, teach the most people, expand my reach, and just leave something that's awesome? And so when I think about teaching here in Tennessee, yes, I could walk that Idaho path again and try to make inroads at a school, after jumping through a bunch of hoops to get my credential, which I'm really not excited about. And maybe I'll help 100, 200 kids next year. Or I could dig in here and help you. And I can continue to make tools that help kids get excited about the classroom. And when I think about that, my heart gets big. And so it's really hard for me to not be in the classroom right now. But it's also the right thing for me. right now? And then as I've been struggling with this is not a new conversation. This is something my husband and I have been talking about for the last few years about what I want my life and career to be. He made a point that actually finally won it for me. He said, you know what, Laura? Go all in on the curriculum. If you don't like it, you know what you can do? You can go get another teaching job. Like, it's not, that's the other thing I want everyone to think about. Like, if you're like me struggling about, you're having that, like, I don't know how much longer I can do this job kind of thought. And if there's something else that you want to do and you can go do, go try it. Life is short. Go do that thing. If you don't like that thing, you can go do another thing, or you can go back to teaching. They are always going to need us. That's the thing. And we don't make that much money, so it's really easy to replace that salary. I don't know if it's really easy, but it's certainly possible. So Jen, wow, this video got weepy. I'm feeling this topic, and I knew it was important and for something for us to talk about. So you guys, are you thinking about leaving? Like, do you know anybody who left because of COVID? In my circle of like real life teacher friends in my network, I don't know anybody else who's not in the classroom right now. Everybody's gone back. Because again, we've got bills to pay. I get it. And I have a few more options than some of my other teacher friends. Do you know people who have left because of COVID or because of other reasons? Leave it below. Talk about if you're thinking about leaving, what are the factors that are taking you there? What else might you want to do? It's okay. It's all teaching. Even this YouTube channel, it's still teaching. So you have permission to live your life in the way that you want to live your life. And I'm here. Let's talk about it. It's a hard conversation, but it's super, super important that we just get clear and honest about what we want our lives to be. I want my life to be about helping you, and that's what I'm just going to keep doing. So thanks if you made it to the video, I apologize for the waterworks. I just feel things strongly, passionately. All right, you guys, check in with me, send me a message. I hope you're well, stay strong. Know that you're not alone in feeling the feels that you have, thinking the thoughts that you're thinking. Okay.